Stacey Tillman, and I graduated from UNC Charlotte in 1991 with a major in sociology and a concentration in psychology. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm actually tell you a lot about myself, okay? So you're going to know me very well by the end of this. So I mentioned I graduated from UNC Charlotte in 1991, and during my time at UNCC, I loved it, but I didn't always thrive. Even though I walked around campus every day with a smile on my face, I was struggling. I struggled a lot my first 2 years here, especially. I thought I wanted to go into the medical profession, thought I wanted to be a pharmacist, go to pharmacy school, had it all planned out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take all maths and sciences my first 2 years. Big mistake. I was failing classes, making D's, making F's, and my dad was like, if you don't get together, I'm not wasting my money, you're going to have to come home. I was on academic probation 3 times when I was here at UNC Charlotte. I'd get a letter, bring my grades up, take another math or science, my grades went back down. So I felt like for the first 2 years, I was on academic probation every other semester. And so I struggled, but you know what? I graduated. One of the things I found out is maybe a profession that requires heavy math and science is not for me. And what I found too is I just didn't like them. I was taking them because I thought it sounded right to want that aspiring career, being a pharmacist or a doctor. And I thought that's maybe what my parents wanted, but it just didn't interest me. So once I started taking courses that interested me more, some of the arts and sciences, liberal arts, sociology, psychology, religious studies, I started really thriving and feeling much better about myself. So I graduated, and I met the love of my life, and I got married. I built a home at 22 years. I was 22 years old. I was married, first-time homeowner, and a couple of years later, had my first child, started my career in banking, thrived. I mean, I was doing it. I was the bomb. I was getting a promotion, getting tapped for promotions like every 18, 24 months. I was a vice president by the time I was 30, had my second child, we built a second home, and I was just doing that thing, you know? And then when I had my second child, I decided, hey, I need a break for a while. You know, I got a lot going on, high pressure job, 2 kids now, I'm a wife, and I decided to take a 2-year sabbatical. During that time, you know, I dabbled into trying to start a consulting company, and it just was not successful at all. Every time I thought I had a good lead, something just fell apart with the deal, or I had a couple of things where maybe I didn't go into a contract and I didn't get paid. And my husband was like, okay, I need your help. You gotta bring some money up in here. Help me out a little bit. You wanna live this certain lifestyle, so you gotta go back to work. So I went back to work, and I went into business process outsourcing. And during my career, I started out in banking, but I ended up transitioning into HR types of functions. So went into what we call business process outsourcing. So I was had gone back to Bank of America where I'd started, but I went back as a consultant on behalf of a company as their client relationship manager. And I was doing my thing there and just really, really thriving there and with my company, getting more promotions, getting more responsibility, getting all kinds of certificates and awards, certifications. And you know, as I wanted to continue to progress in my career, I felt the need to do several certifications. And I will tell you, I sat for the SPHR, which is the Senior Professional in HR Management exam 2 times and failed both times. And then I sat for the Project Management Certificate because I had been doing some project management work and sat for that exam. And the first time I took it, I also failed. But I went back 6 weeks later. I had a leader that had her PMP, and she said, you know what, I think you're just studying for the wrong kind of test. Some people are just not good test takers. So she gave me some recommendations on material to utilize, and I did utilize that, and I went back in 6 weeks later, took the PMP, it was like a breeze the second time, and I had a little bit more confidence going in, passed it. So continued to do well, thrive in my careers, had a couple had 3 promotions, 3 lateral moves, and then about 7 years ago, I had been promoted into a director position. We had just been acquired by another company, and shortly after joining that other company, I was called one day and they said, hey, I'm gonna cry, because it was very, they said, hey, you know, we're gonna demote you. We don't think you're what we consider a director here at this company. That was a very, very humbling experience. And the sad thing about it is, you know, my name title went away on the org chart. Everybody knew we were in HR. But it was something, it was like the elephant in the room. Nobody talked about it. And it was humiliating to walk in a room when you know everybody knew, but nobody said anything. So, got over that, even though it was very emotional. And just decided to, you know, do something different. So stayed in that job for a little bit, and then just thought, you know what, maybe this isn't the right place for me anymore. Not because I've been demoted, but when I thought about the values of the company, maybe my values did not align with the values of that organization. So decided to move. There's some other things in here, you know, built another home, sent my kids to college all during this. They both graduated from college. Actually, my son graduated in 2022 from Charlotte, so he's my legacy, so go Niners. And then I have a daughter that graduated from Chapel Hill about 7 years ago. About 4 days after graduation, she packed her bags, moved to New York to start a new job. So, you know, I have to take some credit. I am her mom. So anyway, and then now I'm at Lowe's. So I'm at Lowe's, as was mentioned, as an HR Senior Business Program Manager. And even since I've been at Lowe's for the past 5 years, I've applied for a lot of jobs. And to be honest, I've been unsuccessful. I feel like I've kind of hit a glass ceiling. But you know what? I'm not going to give up. I took advantage of the pandemic. I went back at 52 and graduated on December 31st at 53 with a master's in HR management with a 4.0. I received other awards, certifications, recognition, been very involved. I'm involved here at the Alumni Board of Directors, as well as I lead some groups at Lowe's. And I say all this to say, if you look at my slide here, there are a lot of things I have to be proud of, right? Kind of that stuff you want to put on Facebook, right? Or social media, because you probably don't use Facebook. It's for parents. But look at all the things I didn't highlight that were great in my life. So why do we focus so much on the failures? So let's talk about that dreadful F word. So failure is typically defined as a lack of success or an inability to meet expectations. We know that failure can be painful, it can be devastating, and it really just can't be avoided. If you live long enough, you're going to have disappointments, you're going to have failures. And, you know, when you think about it, when we win, we feel excited because our brains release endorphins and dopamine and serotonin, which really motivates us and wants us to continue to do the same thing. But when we fail, our brains release cortisol, and that's a stress hormone. And that can be deadly. It can do a lot to you. When I was demoted, I was going through menopause, and I thought I was going to lose it. I really thought I was going to have a heart attack or stroke some days. It impacts your mood. It gives you a lack of motivation and willpower, embarrassment, humiliation, disappointment, fear. It can really cause you to go on a downward spiral, creating unconscious self-sabotage, anxiety, sometimes depression. And I call this out because now, more than ever, I've seen it happen to me, I've seen it happen to my children and other people. It's important that we're mindful of this cycle, and if you are going through failure, that you're conscious of it and that you seek help. Whether it's through friends, therapy, prayer, meditation, mindfulness, it's important to realize that this is just natural, it's going to happen. It's not just you, you're not crazy. And although failure is an inevitable part of life, feeling like a failure should not be. Sometimes failures are gifts and blessings. I can't tell you how many times I thought I wanted that job, only to find out a few months later that job was eliminated, or it wasn't all I thought it was going to be anyway. And I look at failure as a setback that just really allows me to prepare for my comeback. And that's on my desk. Don't let your setback set you back. Let it prepare you for your comeback. Failure can be humbling, but it helps build resiliency, helps make you to be more empathetic towards others when they fail, and just allows you to forgive yourself when you make mistakes. And this is something that I heard from one of our leaders a few years ago that sticks with me. The windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. So practice windshield vision as an essential part of maintaining a positive outlook on life and following your goals and dreams. Set goals and action plans. I'm a project manager, so I believe in action plans. Focus on the future, staying mindful of positive experiences. This allows you to keep your spirits up and persevere through challenging times. The only time you should look at the rearview mirror is to celebrate what is behind you and how you're able to move forward. And the last thing I want to leave with you is a quote I read recently from the Executive Leadership Council. Carla Harris states, "Failure always brings a gift, and that gift is called experience. Now you know how to do it better. Now you know how to do it differently. Now you know how to do it successfully." So, when life hands you lemons, what do you do? Thank you so much.